Yes. So let me say good night to everyone. Welcome to our social media program, Real Talk. Real Talk has been a social media program established sometime 3 months ago to ensure that we continue as a party, United Workers Party, to actually, bring the necessary issues forward so that we can deliberate, we can discuss as a people because it is a program for shared, interventions with our perspectives and your views as well. So we expect that you participate at one time, at a point in time in the program. We're going to say good night to everyone, wherever you may be, and just say to you that, welcome to our program. Today is already the 16th of March, 2026, and we know that time flies. And we always want to reach out to those of you who have lost loved ones. We would have so many deaths. And, I just want to say, tonight to the family and friends of Mr. Steve Laronde, this guy who had graphics, he's passed on. Very good friend of mine, myself. And, he's been a man around Roseau and, people know him for his kindness, for his contribution in small business development. He once owned graphics and he did well and he has passed on. And many other persons have passed on. And the guy, Sabin from Bapa State, it was brought to my attention that, I saw it on social media, his picture going around that, why he did not deserve that multiple stabbing that was done to him by a, perpetrator or perpetrators. We don't know, but we just hope that the police can get their act together and to have this matter resolved as soon as possible to bring some at least closure to the family. So we want to extend deepest condolences to the families and friends of Mr. Sabin, Bapa State. I know him to be a very good person participating in church. And even at one time, he told me, so, there is a space available for collection. Would you like to do collection? I said, well, look, thanks for the, fine invitation. But having been a student at the St. Mary's Academy, I've participated in so many activities in the church, and probably maybe it's not really the best time to participate. But he was one of the persons urging me to get involved. So but I guess, like anything else, when you're a good friend to people, they can actually make requests. They can actually put you in good direction. So I think he was a good person. So again, the Baba State community is in mourning. We just want to extend, deepest condolences on behalf of the party to all those who have lost loved ones. So here we are here tonight with our honorable political leader, Dr. Thomson Fontaine, who has always made it his business to be here with us. And from time to time, we have guests when necessary. But tonight, we will be exploring some areas of interest. We'll be revisiting some of the activities surrounding confirmation and also new registration. We will be looking at our 10-pillar plan. At least we got a number of persons have been asking, generally about our 10-pillar plan. In fact, today I got a text from a young lady that, we must continue to repeat like nobody's business our 10-pillar plan, because that is what sticks. That's what resonates with the people. And it seems to me it's a plan that is well good to rescue Dominica. And from time to time, you will hear our promotional campaign for our big upcoming meeting on Saturday in Layu, in the St. Joseph area, Layu, you see. And so, you'll hear. So, Dr. Fontaine, as usual, Doc, let us welcome you and let's tell us what is happening around. We always have that kind of interaction about what is happening in the various community, where we at, what the people are saying to you, and you are well networked, and so you're getting a lot of information. So it's the people's time, man. Inform the people what is happening, sir.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Good night to everyone. And I see already we have many persons who are tuned in every Thursday, or regulars as we call them. Let me just give you guys a special shout out. That's really good that you continue to join us every Monday night on Real Talk as we continue to explore issues of national importance, as we continue to explore, basically give you an insight into what the United Workers' Party Team Dominica brings to the table, what our plans are, what our expectations are, and we're very happy that you can join us. I mean, it's an awesome time that we're able to share. So we're really thankful for that. And I just want to start off by again, saying a big shout out to the good folks out there in Portsmouth. Over this weekend we were able to visit that constituency there, and I must say it's pretty
Wow,
exciting. It's pretty
exciting.
exciting. You know, people believe that this is a Jean de Patat, as we say, local palace for the Labour Party, but I'll tell you, the people in Portsmouth are hurting just as badly, if not more, than the rest of Dominica. They have seen Ross taken away from them. They have seen, their livelihood literally stripped from them, and a lot of people, and when as we went through and we see, you see just the kind of apartment buildings, that are still there in the Picard area, basically abandoned. I'm like, this one looks okay. There's no light in this one. There's no light in this one. This looks like, it's amazing. This tremendous stock of real estate, of housing that is just empty, and so you have to feel for the people, and I believe that deep down some of them must be asking themselves very serious questions as to what exactly they're voting for. And I think that's what we want to challenge people with. And as we speak to them, say, well, what exactly are you voting for? If you're going to vote for a government, you want to at least have a government that is looking out after your interests, not a government that is going to sell out your interests. And so that is what we have, and that is something that we keep talking about and promoting, and hoping that the people will understand that. So yeah, Portsmouth it was great to have been there, and we'll continue, as I said, to go around the island of Dominica and to really talk to people and let them know what exactly it is that we are bringing to the table as a party. And so it's a very exciting time for us as a party, even as we navigate this very unique, if you like, political environment here in Dominica, with a government that has been there for 26 years, seemingly well entrenched, a government who, by the way, has stolen at least 2 elections in the past, and who continues to posture themselves as if they want to do it again, given everything that's going out around the confirmation process, the failure to register persons, and everything else, just a complete disregard for what one would consider to be proper and good. And so we are very much interested in getting the message out to the people that the United Workers' Party cares about them, that we are prepared to govern with the people in mind, with a deep caring and love and concern for the people of Dominica. And I believe that message is resonating, across Dominica. The people are listening to us, and we're very thankful for that. I must say that even in a supposedly very strong labor stronghold, you don't get much resistance. I mean, people are listening to you, people are willing to engage, and that's what we could ask for, and we're very happy, very, very happy for this.
Oh, yes, certainly. And, it is interesting that you mentioned Portsmouth because, as you rightly said, a lot of persons have the view that, having, people of Portsmouth having somebody labor for so many years that it is almost impossible that you could go down there and make some kind of mileage and political mileage. But it's not just about political mileage. It's about empathy. It's about caring for people. It's about knowing what is happening. And it must have been heart-wrenching, Doc, to see all of the apartments that you rightly say, just idly laying by, no empty, and nothing is happening there. And, when you're not living in a building, you have to talk about its internal breaking down. So we really hope by the time we come in that we can really put what they call community tourism in place and to boost, the tourism in the northern area so that these apartments themselves could be occupied. Because even before us, some of them were about 50%. They had 50% occupancy rate. And imagine without Ross now, you can imagine what it is like. So we've got work to do. But Doc, interestingly, Doc, we have not left. We have never left. It has never been on the back burner. We have been front and center with this electoral process. And from the time the passage of the Registration of Electors Act came about, And that was the famous day when we had the 25th of March demonstration outside the Parliament that coincided with that. And we've never relented. Even prior to that, we've never relented, and we asked the government, and we have been doing everything in our power as a political organization, and of course with our umbrella organizations and ERC to spell out exactly some of the things that we have been concerned about. And today it seems to me that while things are already not working out, the electoral office has taken a recess, and it seems to me when they're supposed to come out in with all the glory of preparation to do a better job, they still seem to be stuck in reverse gear. Do you want to comment or care to comment on this revelation?
Yeah, absolutely. And let me also, even before I comment further, let me remind Dominicans that a number of us, number of patriots, 25 of us to be exact, were arrested over the March 19 event, and we'll be commemorating those events next week. I won't say next week. This week,
March 19.
On Thursday, we'll be having a press conference Thursday morning. That's the Electoral Reform Coalition, and also on Wednesday, there will also be a roundtable discussion on MAT, where we can introduce some of the persons who were arrested. And a number of those persons were in court today. A number of persons a year later are still before the courts, and another postponement. So we have basically four groups. You have mainly the women who are before a female magistrate. That matter has been postponed to September of this year. Then you have the other group of largely men who were in court today, and it's now there before Magistrate Loda, has been postponed to the 23rd, I believe, 23rd of July. And then you have myself before a different magistrate, Magistrate Singh, that has been postponed to the April the 9th. And then you have Mr. Ronald Charles, who is before Magistrate. He is before, not a magistrate whose name escapes me now, but he will also make an appearance later this year. So we see a whole year after all of that, this thing is dragging on. We have gone ahead and challenged the legality of the Riot Act under which we arrested. That came up for first hearing in February, and we are back in court on April the 29th, where hopefully we'll get a chance to argue before the High Court judge that our arrests were illegal and should put a stay or stop to whatever proceedings are in the magistrate's court. So that's where we have that legally. But at the bottom of all of this, the reason why we wanted to do this protest was because we were very much concerned about electoral reform. Bear in mind, we boycotted, the United Workers' Party boycotted the last general elections of 2022 over this very same issue. And so we have been very much concerned about the developments within the electoral reform process, the confirmation process, the lack of registrations. And we in fact wrote in late October, as part of the Electoral Reform Coalition, we wrote to the electoral office expressing our concerns, and our concerns related to one, the failure of this electoral office to have continuous registration as is mandated under the Constitution of Dominica. So that was one. We also were concerned about the confirmation process itself and the fact that a number of persons were not able to confirm because they were not having, the process was not open in all of the polling areas. And it seemed to us, at least, that the strongholds of the United Workers' Party were being discriminated against. So we gave the example of Wharton Waven and Mount Prosper, where we have very strong support, a lot more support than the government in those areas where people were forced to go all the way to Trafalgar to vote. We also had the issue of Warner, where another very strong area where we always win in that area, and no confirmation center. So we raised all of that to the Electoral Commission. We also raised, of course, the issue of the failure to use the voter, the birth certificate to confirm persons on the list. And we made those complaints way back 3.5 months ago. There was no response, not even a courtesy of a response from the Electoral Commission. But later on, other people joined the fray. And more recently, we heard the Prime Minister making some noises, and all of a sudden, we have the reintroduction of the birth certificate. So we are thankful for that, but we also say that the process does not make any sense. The fact that you're asking people to bring picture ID, you're asking them to bring government IDs, and they still have to bring somebody with them. I mean, they have made this thing unnecessarily cumbersome. So there is still room for improvement. There is still room to ensure that people can move from one constituency, that they remain in their constituencies and get confirmed. So there's a lot of room for improvement. And on the issue of new registrations, what happens to persons who have not been registered over this past, year and a half? What happens to them if there is an election? What happens to them? So that these are very serious issues that we have raised with the Electoral Commission. Even the legality, we even raised the issue of the legality of an election where a number of persons have been disenfranchised in terms of not having been able to register. So all of that, we've made representation about. And it is good that the Electoral Commission is taking some action, but they need to do more. We are looking for them, for example, to ensure that they focus on the areas where they do not have confirmation centers, that they can move into those areas and get persons confirmed. All right, and let us get the process on. We also want to lament the fact that after more than 3 months of confirmation of people have been confirmed, we are told over 10,000 applying for confirmation. We have only a few hundred appearing on the list, but even worse than that, even those who have appeared on the list have not been in receipt of their voter ID cards. All right, so that to me is another huge problem that we have. Persons are registered, no voter ID card. So the whole process also, I think, is extremely slow, extremely frustrated. It appears to me that the Electoral Commission has not been prepared for this process, and they're still not prepared. They're moving extremely slow in areas where you think they would have been moving a lot quicker. For instance, I'm sure you confirmed over 3 months ago, so and you're yet to appear on the list, Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of concern that we have, so long ago, and it is yet to appear.
Yes, and and as you're saying this, I know, if we go, I mean, we have given a chronological order sort of response to what we have been doing over the years, but important and inclusive of the ongoing, championing of the people's cause and the concerns that we've had as an organization. I know that we actually wrote to the Electoral Commission, through the ERC, because we're very much of ERC. We do things in the collective, all the other organizations. And that was some time ago, which you will maybe want to tell us about. And I haven't gotten a response, because the point is, we are not making people, we don't want people to get the impression that we only react, because we do things formally. And yes, while we speak on radio, we speak on various media platforms, we do take things in a serious manner. And I know the Electoral Commission or the Electoral have written to, with respect to the very concerns that we've had long time. Rather with that, have they responded to the organization?
No, we've not. They've not even acknowledged receipt of our correspondence, and that I think is very unfortunate, because we are an organization that's comprised of all the political parties, along with other civic groups in Dominica, and they have not even bothered to respond to us. So it's a bit disturbing, because I think that the concerns that we raise, they are legitimate. They were legitimate. They'll continue to be legitimate until they're addressed, and so we hope that they will, in fact, act even beyond what they've done. Yes, as I said, it's good that they've moved to introduce the birth certificates, which will take off a lot of pressure, because a number of persons, it was clear, did not have the means with the passports and social security card and driver's license to get confirmed. Now, a lot more people will be able to do it, but even then, there's an added cost. You have to get a ping pong picture. They are not in your area. You have to bring somebody with you. So it is still not as easy and as accessible as we would like it to be. And that's why we're saying that there's a lot of room for improvement with respect to the confirmation process.
Yes, and as we're on this, I just want to say, based on the list that has been, published with respect to Rosa Central, I think the last one was just sometime last week, and previously one other list came out. And just as going through the list, I was able to detect an area of concern. And I hope that the electoral office is taking note, because we don't want to be in a situation where we repeat the very same thing that we have been talking about in the past. For instance, a voters list, persons who appear on the list who have been dead for many years. And just as, I mean, it's not people's fault. I mean, it's very early to say, but I giving them some time before I can take it further in terms of writing to them, because two of the names so far that have been confirmed, I recognize two persons that have been dead, and I can understand how they could not have known these people are dead, and because they recently dead, and they appeared on the list. So I hope we can get this matter rectified very early, because we don't want a situation whereby knowing that people are dead and still appear on the confirmation list. Because once they would have done that, that means they would have passed the registration for confirmation. They are expected to get an ID, but it is also incumbent on the electoral office to ensure that it follow up with the registry, to confirm those who are on the list, to say, well, look, that person has been there, let that name be struck off, or names be struck off from the list. So I hope due diligence is being sought on that matter, because I have concern of two names already, and a third one is been in sight. So I'm giving them some time, but I'm just drawing it to their attention that while they are doing this, they must also pay attention to persons who may well appear on the list that have been dead, even if they were recently, made an application for confirmation. And the final thing,
but I see no reason so why the electoral commission, and it's good that we advise them on that. They just access the list every month. They can access or on a weekly basis.
yes,
They can access through the record, because every person who dies in Dominica must get
right,
a death certificate.
the certificate,
All right, with the name and so on, their particulars. So all you have to do is to link up or liaise with the registry and input that into your system. We should not get to the point ever again where you have this bloated list of persons who have died for how many years and their names still appeared on the voters list. I mean, let's move into this modern age. We're talking about a modern age of AI and computer intelligence and so on. We need to do better.
Yeah.
So this is a very serious thing that we're talking about. This whole electoral process is a very, very serious affair, because we get it wrong, then the country can be doomed for many, many years. We do not do it right. We can get leaders that we do not support, we do not want, and they impose their will on the people. And so it's very important that the Electoral Commission gets this right. And that's why we keep appealing to them to do better than they've done up to now.
Yes, and so in their structure, because I'll put them on notice again, in the last consultation we had at the parish hall, when the ongoing consultations were on, I heard the question I raised the question with another person, and the Attorney General assured us at that meeting or that consultation that, of course, the electoral office was working in collaboration with the registry to know who's there. So I'm putting it to them now that they better work, and they better have a special unit to oversee this whole aspect of looking for people who have been reported. You get death announcement, and just confirm with the registry that is the case, and do not have them repeated. But before we move on to take a break, let me just say again too, finally, that I know an important gentleman, well-known gentleman with business in Dominica. He has also written an article, and Mr. Gregor Nassif. And of course, I don't know if the reaction of the electoral office was in response to what Mr. Gregor Nassif has said. And even the Prime Minister himself come out and blast and put the electoral office under the bus when he started to react as if that things were so just known to him. But Mr. Gregor, I think I want to congratulate him for the work that he did. And if at all is the response of both the government side and the electoral office is as a result of what Mr. Gregor Nassif has said, it's just sad, because if you're telling us that the ERC, UWP, and other organizations have written to the Electoral Commission or the office and have not gotten, not even a receipt of acknowledging that they have received our. So let me just say at this time, we're going to take a break, because it's important that we broadcast our upcoming big meeting for Layo in the St. Joseph.
National Meeting in Lyon Saturday, March 21st. A massive crowd of patriotic Dominicans will gather to hear and to be informed of the state of the estate of Dominica. Team Dominica, the 11 Bookers body with thousands of dedicated supporters. Cost of living in Dominica is suffocating. Saturday, March 21st. Join the United Bookers Party, the silent majority incorporating the South, the East, and the West, and impactful lineup revealing shocking revelations. Stand with confidence for liberation and salvation. People in Dominica are fed up, frustrated, disappointed, even betrayed. You are not alone. The masses will converge in Lyon Saturday, March 21. Come join the crowd, be part of history with the UWP, the United Workers' Party. Power must change hands. This election cycle, it's all we with the United Workers' Party. Surprising revelations. The country hot like yam. Baba Hule, wow. Baba Hule, wow. Baba Hule, we cannot afford yam. Baba Hule, Baba Hule, Baba Hule, not even tamarind jam. Baba Hule, Baba.
Yes, indeed. The country had like yam, bro. I can tell you that. And in fact, these are some of the issues that we'll be discussing on Saturday night, of course, the very high cost of living. And with this situation in the Middle East that appears not to come into an end anytime soon, is going to have implications for us here in Dominica. So an already bad situation in this country is certainly poised to get worse. And so that is something that we have to always be mindful of. And that's why we're looking forward to Saturday night's meeting to be able to bring out some of those ideas, some of those things, and to remind people of their current state and where they are in Dominica and where we can be with a vote for the United Workers' Party Team Dominica. So Saturday should be excellent. We're in the middle of Layo. We expect persons to join us from all over the island. Just have a great time. 6:30, and we're anxious to get that down and to see the support and to feel the support of the people as we continue to mobilize across Dominica.
Yes, and that song is just timing because Baba Uli well is indeed hard to dig, Always a yam that is widely grown, and you can even consider it a weed. And a weed is anything that is grown ready, it is not wanted. And Baba Uli is not organized to say Baba Uli feel it is just widely grown and people go from time to time for Christmas and certain periods of the year and just go and dig, but it's not very easy to dig. So in fact, the country is very hard like Baba Uli. But Doc, we have been on that mission to sell the party's 10-pillar plan. And it is one of the things that I believe has been resonating with a lot of persons, young people particularly. They have never seen that before, where a party is so bent on putting an agenda, having that social contract to actually bring some sort of meaning, bring some sort of pride and value to people's abilities. Because a lot of people, they have ability to do things, but they just cannot find a way out. And not even after 23 to 24 years of Labour Party, that persons can successfully say that they have done well. And so a number of persons are still asking, that we must continue to talk about these plans. And for some reason, it is just not going away because persons are liking it and persons feel we can actually get some semblance of, restoration, some semblance of economic recovery from this plan. And I know that you are very passionate. And every time you speak about it, I sometimes feel you deep in. You almost want to shed tears because you are cared about, the well-being of persons. And Doc, just for the sake of, the listening public and for those who really have concerns about hearing this 10-pillar plan and want to make some sense out of it and to really analyze it closely and to evaluate what it can bring for Dominica and to move and shake Dominica. Just for that, I would just invite you now to just go through in a layman's term what it means, what the 10-pillar plan means to Dominica and Dominicans.
So the 10 pillars, so thanks for that. As the name implies, it's really 10 things or 10 areas that will pay particular focus to as we assume there is a government. So when a United Workers' Party is in office, there are 10 areas that they're going to place particular focus on. And why are we going to place focus on those areas? One, we believe it will give us the opportunity to transform the economy. Secondly, it will give us the opportunity to create the kind of jobs and employment opportunities that this country needs. Thirdly, it will be able to invigorate and really improve our private sector. Fourthly, it will be able to attract a number of Dominicans back into Dominica to work in the country, to develop the country. And it will establish Dominica as a country that does not accept corruption, that is a government that is accountable and responsible and will forever be accountable to the people. So these are some of the aims, if you like, of the 10 pillars. So what we've done is we've looked at 10 particular areas that we are going to focus on. And let me just kind of run through them, as you know, we've heard them, but I think it's very important for people to understand what exactly that we're talking about. So one of the pillars that we're looking at is economic empowerment through fair wages and salaries. Okay, so we believe that the wage system in Dominica is very unbalanced. We have a large number of persons who are working currently either below a minimum wage of $7.50, supposed to be going up to $9. We have a number of persons who are working below the minimum wage. We have another large group of persons working within the National Employment Program who are not really using their skills and their talents and their abilities. And so we'll be focused on that. How do we ensure that persons have a fair wage? One of the things that we will be focused on is to increase the minimum wage. We'll increase the minimum wage to $12 an hour. $12 an hour puts us to where the person on the lowest rung, if you like, of worker in Dominica will make roughly 2,000 EC dollars a month. Okay, that is what we are targeting. That is where we want it to be. In addition to that, we'll transform the National Employment Program into a skills training program that will build the skills, that will build the competence, that will transform the number of persons who are working within the sector. In other words, we'll not just restrict our national employment persons who are in that particular area. We'll not just restrict them to working on the sides of the road. We'll be looking at skills training. We'll be looking at upgrading the skills, providing education, providing training where that is necessary. In other words, we'll be equipping a group of persons who will be able to contribute in a much more substantive way, in a much more substantive manner. We'll be able to contribute towards the country's economic development. All right. So that is one of the pillars. Then we have tax reform for wealth creation. Last week, we spent a lot of time talking about tax reform, the fact that our taxes are extremely high in Dominica. We're going to revise those VAT rates. We're going to revise the custom duties that in some cases are 35, 40, 50%. We are going to revise the ridiculous levies that have been placed. For example, we have this $10,000 levy that has been placed on vehicles over a certain number of years old. That will be done away with because we believe that it's a very negative impact on persons who can only afford something comfortable and who want a vehicle in Dominica. So that we will deal with, but our comprehensive tax reform program that will transform our fiscal policy, will transform our tax policy in this country and make things more affordable. So the bottom line in this is to ensure that our goods and our services, when they're made available to the public, become a lot more affordable and cheaper. And it can be done because we compare the Dominicans and even our sister island of St. Lucia. And just recently, we met a few St. Lucians here in Dominica, and they were like saying, boy, Dominica is expensive. They love the place. They love the mountains. They love the water. They love the nature. They love the people of Dominica. But they're saying, boy, Dominica is expensive. One person pointed out to almond milk that they get in St. Lucia for $12 for the carton in Dominica. It's like $31, almost 3 times, a fan, for example, you can get a standing fan in St. Lucia for 20 something, 30 something dollars. In Dominica, it's over $200. So you have a lot of those different prices when you compare. Dominica is a lot higher, and it has to do with the extremely high duties that are in place in Dominica. So we'll work to reduce those, we'll work to streamline those, and we'll work to make the goods, the prices and go of goods and services more affordable. So that is pillar number two. Pillar number three, healthcare and education transformation. Okay, we've all heard horror stories of our healthcare system. We've all heard that person's first option is to move away their serious injury or health problems is not to stay in Dominica. Those who can afford move out of Dominica. Healthcare is just not thing. And I stepped into the hospital. I'll give you a very personal example. I stepped in the hospital last weekend. Going in there to visit somebody, imagine the person that I was going to visit, that individual was actually in the casualty ward. I'm like, what casualty ward? People actually, because of they don't have enough beds and so on.
Yes,
They put people in the casualty ward. So I went in there, and it looked like a scene from a movie. Like when you have triage, because I expect to see like wards set up where you have a ward in the casualty area, and you have one person per room. But there were people in the corridors.
Yes.
On the gurneys.
Yes.
Number of persons. I was shocked. I was like, my goodness, look at and people in different states of pain and sickness and so on. But these are not persons who have just arrived necessarily. These are persons who have been who were there for many days. The person I went to see was there for at least 5 days. And so you see that we have a health system that is in complete shambles and that needs to be dealt with. And that health system, coupled with our education system in Dominica, that will make our education system a lot more in line with the goals that we set ourselves for this country, the goal of economic development, the goal of shared prosperity, the goals of ensuring that people have money in the pockets. Our education system has to mirror that. So the training that we will focus on, the educational opportunities that we'll provide for our young people in Dominica, all of that will have to align, particularly with what we are trying to accomplish in Dominica, what we're trying to accomplish as part of those 10 pillars. So that is pillar number 3. Then there is our Kalinago people, ecotourism, sports and cultural tourism. Okay, all of that, you see, it is linked to our tourism product. How we can have sports tourism, how we can, our cultural tourism, our bouillon, our soca, our calypso, our indigenous cultural dances, our ballet, mazou, quadrille, how we get that out to the world, how we package that, how we make money out of that, how we attract people to come in and see Dominica at its best in terms of its culture. All of these are areas that we will be looking at, because we believe that we can literally make hundreds of millions of dollars from our cultural industry, from our music industry. Right now, it is not well packaged, it is not well sold, it is not well marketed. We will, as a government, will ensure that we put the necessary resources into those industries where people can actually make a comfortable living. So that if you're into culture, if you're into belly dancing, then that becomes your livelihood. You can make a decent living out of it. It will be paraded in the hotels, in the guest houses, on stage, in different festivals and so on. So these are some of the things that we are looking to do. Our Kalinago brothers and sisters there have a lot to contribute towards that, because obviously we can do so much more with the Kalinagos, given their history, given the fact that we are the only country fortunate enough in this side of the Caribbean Sea to have them with us. How we can maximize that, and not in any exploitative way, but in a manner that will bring returns to the Kalinago territory and Atkinson. So these are things that will continue to work on, to ensure that our people, our cultural industries promoted, because we have a unique product in Dominica and we'll bring that to the fore. So that is pillar number 4. Then we move to pillar number 5, where we establish agriculture, water, and manufacturing sectors. We are going back into agriculture in the big way in Dominica. I want to make this statement bold and clear. We are going back into agriculture in a big way in Dominica. One of the persons also that we met over the weekend is a boat captain, who has a huge boat, and he was saying that a few years ago, when he was transporting goods to the neighboring islands, he would leave Dominica with some 80 pallets of produce. Now he's lucky if he gets 10 pallets, all right, to export.
Wow.
So it means that we're talking about 80 pallets to 10, all right. But he still has the boat. The boat is there. He's doing that on a weekly basis, the movements, and he's going both to the north and to the south. He interchanges the weeks and so on. But that is something that we can harness, that we can improve on our agriculture sector, where we are able to export our goods and our services. Not enough people are planting, not enough farmers are producing what we need. The demand is out there for our goods. The demand for our produce is out there for our dashing, our yams, our couscous, our potato, our ginger. You just name it. The kinds of goods, the yams, and you just name the different things that we produce in Dominica that is in such high demand, even right there within the region. How do we improve that? How do we bring that back? So we have a dedicated program for agriculture under this plan, where we'll put in the relevant resources into agriculture. We'll equip our farmers. If there is need for subsidizing of different crops, we will do that. We want to ensure that we can empower the Dominican farmer. We can empower the person who wants to make a living out of agriculture. They will be able to do that again. So we're going to make agriculture great again. So when you hear MAGA, even talking about the other MAGA, making agriculture great again in Dominica. We once there, we believe we can surpass where we were by having this focused interest in agriculture. So it has to be a holistic approach, making the lands available. We are looking even at having what we call a land bank. A land bank is where you are able to have the unused estates in Dominica, unused property. People register those properties and they're made available to those who want to work them. And the owners are compensated for them. So at the end of the day, the owners of those lands, rather than the land just lying idle, will make money. The production will be ongoing. And so that will be very well organized, from the very access to lands, all the way to planting, to reaping, to production, and then to export. But not only that, we will have this whole agro-processing aspect of it, where we'll strengthen our agriculture. Because while we are happy to export goods to our neighbors, I think we'll do a lot better if we're able to add value, a lot of value, to our goods. So the chip manufacturing, the sorrel treats that we can make, the pasta that we can make, the flour that can be done from our yams and from our dasheen and from our cassava, the different things that can be made, all of that, the bananas that we can use, the coconut that can be bottled, so much that we can do in manufacturing, and we will focus on. That is very important. So our manufacturing will be moving in line with our agriculture, because it will be there to support our agriculture. And then our water industries, obviously, with the abundance of water. We were happy to hear that bulk water will soon be exported to St. Lucia. But we see no reason why that can be expanded to other islands in the region.
That's correct.
Especially our neighbors up north, where there are serious issues with water. Why can that happen? Why can't we have 4 or 5 bottling plants, water bottling plants in Dominica, exporting water across the globe. These are the kind of things that we'll be looking at, will be put in place. That is the plan, so. Five. These are five of the pillars, and I want to run through the other five quickly because we know time is
Yes,
up.
of the essence, and we have a few questions.
Understand that every what each one of these will do, because as we go through them, you're seeing, and I believe that the vision is already being unfolded to the Dominican public, where they can see exactly where we're headed with that. Because at the end of the day, we want to be able to build for our people. All right, so we're looking at the infrastructure that can come for resilient communities. We're talking about proper waste management, to modernize public services. The investment in our communities will revamp and revive our communities. Our villages, I keep saying, are dying on the vine. We need to revive those villages, put people to work, bring back life and entertainment and activity and so on into those villages, infuse that. All right, that will be done in the proper infrastructure so that we can move from one part of Dominica to the next relatively quickly. We can build our feeder roads that will support our agriculture. These are some of the things that we'll be looking at. Then we have the whole question, number 7, youth opportunity and retention. The United Workers' Party is big on youth because we have lost a number of our young people to the neighboring countries. I saw a very interesting post on Facebook recently where the premier of the BVI was congratulating our prime minister for all of the young people that he sent to the BVI. And he was very happy. He is very happy with the young people in the BVI. He says that they're contributing tremendously to his country's development. We need these young people in Dominica contributing to our development here in Dominica. And so the youth opportunities and youth retention is big on the agenda, one of our big pillars, because we believe that as we harness our youth, as we harness the skills, as we revise the National Employment Program to be more focused on skills training and skills development, we will get the young people back to Dominica. We focus on artificial intelligence, we focus on the green economy, we focus on the internet and the jobs that can be had from there. All of that we will put in place as a government to ensure that we're able to retain our youth. And then there is the issue of renewable energy development. As number 8, renewable energy development. We have solar energy, we have water, we have wind, we have the
Geothermal.
We have these huge investments the government has made, and they've only been able to succeed in giving us about 10 megawatts of electricity. I don't know, quite frankly, if that's going to have an impact on the price. I hope it does, because we have very high utility rates. I hope it has an impact on the cost of electricity. We'll have to wait and see. But it's clear that a lot more could have been done with the geothermal. So how do we expand that? How do we grow geothermal to the point that we can now look at exporting power to the neighboring islands? These are some of the ideas, these are some of the areas that we'll be focused on to ensure that we have a very good development in renewable energy. And as we reduce the cost of renewable energy, we can then invite companies to invest, put up their data centers in Dominica, where they'll be, they'll train our young people to maintain those data centers, because we have cheap energy. Artificial intelligence uses up a lot of energy, a lot of power. So the cheaper energy we have, is the better we can attract those kind of companies into Dominica. Our young people get the opportunity and the experience to be able to maintain those data centers and to work and get good paying jobs in those areas. So these are some of the things that we're looking at as we revamp our renewable energy in this country. Number 9, importantly, social equity and inclusion. We're talking about empowering our persons with disabilities, empowering our persons, our elderly citizens amongst us. How do we empower them? How do we move beyond the $300 contribution? While it is good, this we can do a lot better. How do we ensure that we have an insurance scheme in Dominica, not only for health, but for employment, so that when people get to that age, that they can have access to some kind of social security benefit. These are some of the areas that will work on to ensure that we have this inclusion. That it will not just be for some people, but it will be for everybody. It will be based on need. All right, and I want to repeat that. Any social program that the United Workers' Party is going to introduce in Dominica in the future will be based on need. It will not be based on who supports us. It will be based on need. Okay, that is our commitment that we're giving to the people of Dominica. All right, because we believe very strongly that we can do a lot better by the elderly. We believe we can do a lot better with people with disabilities, and ensure that everybody is taken care of. Because if you get a sense of where we're going with those pillars, is to ensure that no Dominican is left behind. Is to ensure that every Dominican has a stake in this country, so that they will have a desire to want to work, a desire to want to contribute, a desire to want to live in Dominica. This country is a beautiful country. What has not worked for us in Dominica is a really poor governance, a really bad government that has not cared sufficiently about the people. And we're here to change that. We're here to bring a change that we've not seen in Dominica before, but that we are committed to doing, where it will be people first, the young people they focus on, the elderly, the workers of this country, putting people to work in the factories, on the field, in agriculture, in building the infrastructure, in the artificial intelligence craze that is going on. All of those will be bringing to bear, and finally, number 10, transparent government, transparent governance. We want to ensure that there will be zero tolerance for corruption. You will have a government that is at all times accountable to the people of Dominica. We will ensure that we're accountable. We will reintroduce the office of the ombudsman. We will have a national, a national anti-corruption commission that will, in other words, will revamp the IPO, the Integrity Public Office, to ensure that there are enough commissioners, that they have the teeth, they have the competence to go after politicians and those in public office who would engage in acts of corruption, that would be taken care of. Okay, what we want to do is to give the assurance to the Dominican public that we'll be responsible, zero tolerance for corruption, that the resources of the state will be used in promoting the state, will be used to the benefit of the people of this country. That is our commitment. Honest, competent governance that is filled with integrity, that the people of Dominica can see, transparency, accountability. That is what we are promoting. That is what we are giving to the Dominican public. So I wanted to get an opportunity again to just kind of talk about those 10 pillars, because people have been hearing about it and some people have not heard about it. But this is, if you like, is the plan that we have. And as time goes on, we'll be giving more detail from time to time on our program here, and also on Thursday nights. We'll be giving more details as to how we'll go about it, the financing of some of those, how we go about financing. We'll be talking about, as we lose revenues, as we might very well do if we introduce some of those tax reforms, how we're going to make up those revenues so that the government and the services that we're trying to promote will not suffer. So these are the areas that we are committed to. These are the things that we're committed to doing. At the end of the day, as I said, the focus is to put money into the pockets of the Dominican public, is to grow the economy, to retain our young people, and to have a country ultimately that we can all be proud of. So I want us as Dominicans Dominicans to be proud of our country, to be able to speak happily and boldly about our country wherever we go, to be proud of our government, to be happy with the administration of our country. And we have a group of Dominicans. We have a group, the United Workers' Party team that is prepared to do the work. Of course, we are working on credible candidates that will be able to contest the next general election so that we can offer to the Dominican public a group of candidates that are competent, that can do the work, that can get down, roll their sleeves up and delve deeply into those 10 pillars to ensure that they're successful and to ensure that we meet the required results. So we are very clear. The vision is clear as to what we want to do in Dominica. We are very clear as to how we're going to go about it. What is needed right now is for the support of the Dominican public, the buy-in that is required from the Dominican public, if you like, the assurance that when elections are called, that we'll get the vote of the Dominican. That's why we're doing this. We want your vote. We're not afraid to ask for your vote because we believe we have a better plan. We believe we have a stronger plan. We believe that we have a plan that will stabilize this country of ours for many, many years, that will bring growth, that will bring prosperity, that will put money into the pockets of the Dominican public, and that will build a country that we can all be very proud of.
Well, yes, certainly. And before we take a break, I want to say I want to just say too, like anything else, this 10-pillar plan is not at all, cast in stones. And as we go forward, there'll be continuous improvements with respect to how we go about making the adjustments. Because remember, as we scan the environment, there are factors obviously that will change things, and we will adjust accordingly. So it's not cast in stone, it's continuous improvement going forward. But just before we take, and earlier on somebody made a point, but I was just going to make the point that it is not only that we're establishing things. Take for instance an example, like the minimum wage. It's not just about increasing the minimum wage, because obviously some people will say, of course, what about the business people? They are going to be affected by paying more. And obviously there'll be trade-offs between, there'll be also trade-offs where incentives will be given to businesses so that they will be able to at least afford the increase or the payout of increase as we go. So people must understand that. But let's take a break and we'll come back to many of some of the comments.
Yes, so because there are many persons who've asked questions that we have to respond to. So but as I said, we're going to take a break so that we can again advertise our activity. That's on Saturday when we come back, we'll deal with some of the issues.
Yes, definitely.
Very important issues and questions that have been raised there by our people. So we are very happy for that. We're very happy for those of you who have taken the time to set the questions out, and we'll be back in a little bit to deal with those.
Saturday, March 25, a massive crowd of patriotic Dominicans will gather to hear and to be informed of the state of the estate of Dominica. Team Dominica, the United Workers' Party, with thousands of dedicated supporters. Cost of living in Dominica is suffocating. Saturday, March 21st, join the United Workers' Party, the silent majority incorporated. From the north, the south, the east, and the west, an impactful lineup revealing shocking revelations. Stand with confidence for liberation and salvation. People in Dominica that are frustrated, disappointed, even betrayed. You are not alone. The masses will converge in line Saturday, March 21. Come join the crowd, be part of history with the UWP. The United Workers' Party power must change hands. This election cycle, it's all we with the United Workers' Party. Surprising revelations. The country hot like yam. Mama Hule, Mama Hule, Mama Hule. We can't go for yam. Mama Hule, Mama Hule, Mama Hule. Mama Hule, Mama.
I'm trying because the Barule, these are the wild yam. That's what our Negma or lived on, because those bear that will grow wild in the forest and they and it doesn't die. You clear the Barule, you call it off, and then you return a few weeks later and it is shooting up again.
One person earlier said, Barule is very soft as well, but then say ladies yam. But anyway, what are the other? The message has been sent,
Yes.
don't that. But
Yes,
yes,
but so we have some
comments?
very very important questions there that were raised,
Yes,
and if you don't mind, I want to start with this one on pillar 9.
yes, okay,
Right?
good.
Yes.
Social equity and inclusion. Are there any policy plans for supporting the inclusion of migrants, including expat Dominican or expatriate Dominican returnees who provide professional and human resource, business and investment, yet are not well supported and often made stateless or highly inconvenienced by slow government bureaucracy around their immigration, work permits, resident and citizenship applications, access to business banking, and more as we talk.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the question or the answer to that is yes, because we believe our returning Dominicans have a huge part to play. Imagine for a minute with me that you have a number of retired nurses, all right? Dominicans who've worked overseas, but they want to come back now. But they're just in their early 60s and so on. They can still work. They might be able to volunteer at the hospital, right? So you can have a program that would allow for these nurses to volunteer the services and their competence to help out in our health system. Similarly, you could have volunteer teachers, those who've taught all of their lives overseas. They want to come back, they can volunteer in the schools to help out, tutor students. So we're going to find areas where the returning migrants who want to contribute to their country will get the opportunity to do so. And also, once you're coming back, we'll ensure that already we have legislation that allows for when you come into Dominica that you can bring your motor vehicle, you can bring your effects. But I understand that there is a lot of red tape, a lot of bureaucracy that goes around that. So people have a lot of problems even accessing what is already in the legislation. We'll remove that red tape. So ensure that migrants who are definitely coming back to Dominica will get the duty free that they need to build their homes. Will get the will get the complete duty free to bring in their personal effects and so on. All of that bureaucracy will be streamlined so that they can quickly be established. And tied very closely to that, of course, is our health system, because we cannot succeed at getting migrants back into Dominica without a top-class health system. That is why health is one of our key pillars, because with health, we'll be able to get, these individuals who want to come back to contribute. So the answer is yes. The whole question of being able to provide resources, because some of these individuals coming back will have resources. They will be able to invest in small businesses. They'll be able to partner with others or with locals, to do business ventures. That is why, as we look to improve and expand the private sector, the migrants are going to play a key and important role in all of this.
Yes, and one person saying the United Workers' Party's 10 pillars plan present more than just a policy. They outline a clear practical vision for national progress rooted in opportunity, accountability, and sustainable growth. By focusing on areas like economic empowerment, education, healthcare, and good governance, the United Workers' Party provides a roadmap that everyday Dominicans can connect with, because it speaks directly to improving quality of life. If embraced collectively, these pillars can unify citizens around what they call shared prosperity. But yeah, let's take this one, and you will just do, yeah, right. And you'll just do one summing up after it. How does United Workers' Party make agriculture great again when it was formerly based on a heavily subsidized farming and government-led initiatives, all of which now exist and still has not led to modernization and industrialization of agriculture? And in fact, most farmers do not invest in their own skills set, nor in the business of farming that can improve international expectations of quality and consistent volume supply.
Yes, so there is a role for government. As I said, previously, if needs be, that the government has to subsidize certain types of agriculture, whether it's the subsidy, whether it's the not the subsidy, but the inputs, fertilizers, and different chemicals and so on that is required for good farming. There is a way that it was done previously, and it can be done that way, so that the farmer who is coming in initially doesn't have the resources to buy the inputs. That can be subsidized initially. And then the farmer, through a contractual arrangement, when he sells that produce, he pays back over a period of time. He pays back for the fertilizer, he pays back for the inputs. So there's a way that you can organize it. It can be organized in such a manner that there is no heavy burden on the farmers. The way farming is being done in Dominica now, the burden is entirely on the back of the farmer. So they have to come up with the money to get a bag of fertilizer. A small bag is $80. A large bag is $160. I know because I've just bought fertilizer just this past week. So how do you get these into the hands of the farmers without those deep pockets, without having the money? So we need to get the production up. So there'll be a period of subsidization, with the understanding that on the back end they will have to repay some of that. So it will not be completely free, but it will definitely be subsidized. The boxes that they use to package and all of that. And then also, by adding value right here in Dominica, it means that you might be able to offer a much higher price than just for the raw material that's been exported. So definitely, the plan is to bring agriculture to that level, but it will take that kind of effort. It will also take a Ministry of Agriculture that is proactive, that is doing the research, a research center within the agriculture, the Ministry of Agriculture that will be able to research quickly on diseases and different, any kind of problems that would accrue within thing, how you treat it, how you deal with it, all of that will be part of it. So it's something that will be extremely well thought out, well planned out, so that, yes, it is subsidized, but the burden is not fully on the government. We'll have to revisit the role of the aid bank in all of that. How, we have, the aid bank, its main business or should necessarily be giving loans to students. It should be really focused on agriculture. How do you give loans, monies to agriculture, so that you can build that up? Whether it's loans, and how the government interacts and works to get monies, cheap money that can be on lent through the aid bank. So there are ways that this can be done, ways that we can ensure that we take care of these different problems that we have with regards to agriculture.
Yes, and additionally, the point is we're not going to spoil people. We cannot let people be what in just about subsidization mode. You must be able to increase your yields per acre. And if you can do better, not necessarily expanding land, but doing better on the same piece of land, that can increase your productivity. So if you increase your productivity, then it becomes more affordable to get things done without having to be subsidized. So these are things that we'll put in place, the mechanism in place, to show the farmer how we can move from point A of productivity to point B to let him be a better person. So another question is that what are the proposals to provide? What are the proposals to private enterprise to fulfill Pillar 4 regarding cultural marketing? And how does the UWB government propose to get hotels and guest houses to engage these cultural services, since their own budgets direct what they provide to their guests?
Another excellent question. But bear in mind that if you have a good tourism product that is still in the tourists, hotels are now, instead of being 30% occupancy, you're looking at 70, 80, 90% occupancy. Then taking care of these issues become secondary, because the hotels, because they have so many guests, they can now afford to invite these cultural activities. And I've been to many hotels in the Caribbean, in Africa, and elsewhere, where that is a staple, that's a feature of the hotels, where you have this local entertainment. You have, whether it's local artists, whether it's local cultural groups that come in and entertain the tourists at night, after dinner or during dinner. So that is something that can be easily done. once the tourism product is at the level where you have a lot better occupancy, a lot more tourists coming in, that is something that will be dealt with that way, so that the hotels will, that be one way that they can enhance their offering by offering this type of cultural exchanges and different guest artists and so on.
Yes, so I think we have been out of time, and we will continue this important and interesting topic. I believe one person is saying, and I get it, that it is important that we really get hard on this electoral commission to get its act in order. Because to be honest, for us to realize the dream of our 10 pillar and to ensure that we bring a better quality of life to our people in Dominica, we need an electoral system that is well fortified. We need an electoral process that people can trust and to make sure they participate so that they can get the government and to vote the government that of their choice, vote the government that is most deserving of. And so it is very important, Doc, that these aspects are considered. However, this person is saying there, hopefully we will see greater efforts to empower young professionals to own property and homes through some sort of rent to earn program or a middle class housing scheme. Yes, interesting, Doc. Interesting.
Yes, indeed, and absolutely, and yeah, and also when I answered the question earlier about the migrants, I although I spent some time talking about the retirees, but remember I said in my presentation that we're looking to attract the young people back to Dominica, persons who are coming to offer their skills, their resources to help build this country. So it's not just I use the opportunity to focus on the migrants, but I'd spoken earlier about the young people. But part of what the plan is to bring the young people back to Dominica who are still in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, who still have a lot to contribute towards this country. So that's very much a part of the plan, and obviously young professionals coming in, the ability to own their own homes, access to loans and so on, to be able to build the housing, and and ready to build up the middle class. That is what this is all about. You want to build up a very strong middle class that will be able to take their vacation when they want, but they'll be living here, they'll be paying taxes here in Dominica. So it's very exciting. The more we reflect on the 10 pillars, the more we plan, the more we strategize, the more excited I get, because I'm seeing how this can work. I'm seeing how this can transform the country. Already the vision of Dominicans coming back to Dominica to work, to be a part of that greater vision of developing this country is very exciting. We will be able to set a model for the rest of the world, I believe. By the time we are done, we will have set a model for diaspora development. We'll have set a model for how you bring your people back to your country to develop your country. And so these are great times, these are exciting times. Of course, lots of work to do on the ground to convince those votes, because some of our people some of them are not listening to those programs, some of them are not tuned in to what's going on. They have their own struggles to go through on a daily basis. So we need to get the message out to them. And so lots of work to be done on the ground. That's why we're encouraging those of you who are able to join us, do so on the ground, liaise with your local constituency association, volunteer your time to do the walkarounds, to be on the ground, to just take that message out. We need more involvement and more people to go out there. We are doing what we can, but we'll do so much more. If so much more of you can join us in going out there and being a part of this effort. So, we're excited about what lays ahead for us as a party and what lays ahead for this country. And I really want to say a big thank you to all those who continue to believe in us, believe in what we are doing, what we want to do for this country, and believe ultimately in the success that we are going to have.
Yes, and Doc, we're going to close up, but it gets interesting minute by minute. But just a quick scenario. When the United Workers' Party was in office and we negotiated with the EU, and the EU gave us some funds, because remember, it had earned sweat taxpayers' money that they give to the respective country, and so get stable transfer. We initiated that program for the irrigation project at Casibrus and some other localities in Dominica. What was happening is that we intended at the time to actually install irrigation for a few farmers. We could not have done all, but we wanted to establish model farms. And not just one model farm, but we hoped at the time when that irrigation project was commissioned, that we would have established a number of systems, whether it's drip irrigation, whether it's sprinklers on farmers' farm. And over time, as farmers get better and manage their farms and take agriculture as a business, they would have paid the system over time for some years, give them a grace period, and subsequently they pay back for the system. Okay, we lost governance of the country, and so the Labour Party came in. But the hard work of the United Workers' Party was already there in terms of drawdown of the funds. They came, they did the irrigation project, and it was commissioned. But guess what happened? They brought the water at the farm gates of the farmers. You brought water at my farm gate, but it did not give me irrigation. Now you're asking me now to go and take a loan in the bank as a farmer and to not put the system on my farm. No, we're not saying that people should be spoon-fed. You're making the same mistake now, talking about land allocation to farmers, but yet no infrastructure. So we have to go further than that and put the necessary infrastructure so the farmer has no right to fail, which means that if at all lands were chosen in some areas that are kind of dry, semi-dry, and there is availability of water, you must be able to have some plan for irrigation to meet the needs of the crop or the plants that are going to experience some water deficits. Now, if you are in some area where you have high moisture content, then it's obvious that you would have to do some drainage to put the soil at a reasonable level so that you can improve the aeration and the whole structure of the soil. And you have to put farm roads, as you said, develop the farm roads, and even put sheds. And so these are the infrastructures where we're talking about on the farms. And where you have animal husbandry, put in necessary, not just an abattoir, but to make sure that you have veterinary services given to farmers, go and check the animals if they're sick, so that when you slaughter in, you have to make sure that you slaughter healthy animals. So this is something holistic. We need to get to the root of it. But we'll speak more of this in the future.
So I love the ease with which you speak about this. I mean, this is like it's in your DNA.
Come on.
A clear view of what's required. Interestingly enough, I just during this past week, yes. I went to Casibrus on the Casibrus stretch there. And I went to see a farmer there, and I was surprised to still see some of the infrastructure
that is right.
Put down. I was like, wow, look at how they were bringing the water to irrigate there. Yes. It's amazing the ideas and the plans that the United Workers' Party had, and then all of that just fell flat on this government. So we'll get back to that place where there is irrigation required. We will do the irrigation schemes,
Yes, so all good things come to an end. All things, good things over. Yeah. So let me just say thank you very much. And I must say that this tonight was very interesting. Thanks for the question. And just as we do the work, we want to continue to make sure that we meet the needs of the people. You have asked us to go out there, interact, connect with the various communities, and that is what we are doing. But the work doesn't go on without a little bit of resources. We need to be energized. We need to be financially furnished to continue the work of the people. And so we ask and appeal from each and everyone, from all and sundry, to give us the support where applicable. And we are very grateful for those who have already contributed and continue to do so. But we say, look, our mobile banking ID is 555-2242, and the account number to this is 1005636. You can also go online and look at uwp-dominica.com, click on donation, and here you go and give your donation where necessary. Please give and give generously. We are asking for this. So look, as you wind down, I know we're going to play the ad finally for people to hear, but we'll just do a final remark so that we get it done with, and we'll just play, just give the rally another hype and call it a night.
All right. Well, so thanks again. A great opportunity, just to share with those who are viewing and those who will view our podcast, the plans that we have for the future governance of this country. You will see that we are a mature party, a serious party, one that has ideas, one that is clearly strategizing for the future. because we deeply believe in this. We deeply believe that there will be a better day for Dominica. We truly believe that our better days are ahead of us. We truly believe that we can restore faith and belief in the ability of Dominicans to do for themselves and to build and grow and prosper this country. We believe that the United Workers' Party will put money once more into the pockets of the Dominican public. Shared prosperity for all of Dominica is what we're after. And that is something that we know is possible because we have the resources here in Dominica. We have the human resource, we have the capital, we have the land, we have the water, we have the geothermal, everything that we spoke about. We have the resources already here on island that we can bring the change, we can make the necessary adjustments and grow and develop this economy and this country. And so we're truly excited about what lies ahead. We want to thank the people for supporting us. We want to thank the people of Dominica for standing with us. We want to thank them for the support as well to the party. As you rightly said, we need resources. We cannot do this on our own. We need your resources. If you're overseas, you want to be part of that vision, a great way to do is to lend your financial support. For those who are here in Dominica, you can come and walk with us, be on the ground with us. We welcome your presence, we welcome your participation. Let us do that together. It's all about for Dominica, it's all about building a better future for our country. So let us join hands, let us work together collectively to get it done.
Yes, thank you. This has been Real Talk with our political leader, Dr. Thomson Fontaine. Let me thank each and every one of you. And don't forget to be tuned in, and many Dominicans don't forget to participate this coming Saturday on the 21st of March down at Layo. From 6 o'clock, we are starting bank time to ensure that we bring the news to you and to bring the news of restoring Dominica's economic pride. Thank you. And good night.
Saturday, March 21st, a massive crowd of patriotic Dominicans will gather to hear and to be informed of the state of the estate of Dominica. Team Dominica, the United Workers' Party, thousands of dedicated supporters. Cost of living in Dominica is suffocating. Saturday, March 21st, join the United Workers' Party. The silent majority is ready. From the north, the south, the east, and the west, and the packed food lineup revealing shocking revelations. Stand with confidence for liberation and salvation of people in Dominica that are frustrated, disappointed, even betrayed. You are not alone. The masses will convert to Lion Saturday, March 21. Come and join the crowd, be part of history with the UWP, the United Workers' Party. Power must change hands. This election cycle, it's all the way with the United Workers' Party. Surprising revelations. The country hot like yam.
Yes.
We cannot afford yam.
Yes.
Good night, Dominica.
Yeah, good night, Dominica. Good night.
Baba Wule sounds like a goodbye. Baba Wule.